These two guys have Minnesota sports flowing in their veins. Mackey and Judd on Score North and ScoreNorth.com.
Yes, welcome in to the OG version of Write That Down. Every single Wednesday here on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd and the Score North YouTube channel. We put statistics next to our predictions like idiots and commit career suicide and show you how wrong we are on a regular basis. Also, another reminder, if you haven't already, and we appreciate like the 1,300 of you in the first few days that have clicked subscribe, we have a third YouTube channel now. So we've got Purple Daily, we've got the Score North YouTube channel, and we now have the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel as well. And we announced earlier this week that Trevor Plouffe is going to join us as a regular guest every Tuesday for Trevor Tuesdays on the Score North Twin Show, which you can find on Apple and Spotify, and also now on the Score North Twin Show YouTube channel. So we're super pumped. We've got that rocking. We have another couple announcements to make too, but we're full steam ahead with the Twin season, in addition to Purple Daily, Flagrant Howls, Judd's Hockey Show, boys. So we're rocking in here.
It's an awesome time of year too. I love this time of year.
March is good.
Just constant action.
Just a barrage of all four sports giving you something to talk about. So here's how Write That Down works. It's 3 predictions from everybody each week. They must be quantifiable. Those are the parameters. We keep track of batting averages and home runs here. And if you want to participate as a guest listener predictor, like our guy Mark is about to, you can send a message through the Score North app to Declan, and we'll get you scheduled for sometime here in the coming weeks. So without further ado, gentlemen, before we make our predictions, let's hold each other accountable. Judd, step on up. We'll start with the bad. You said they'd trade the Gus bus before Friday's NHL trade deadline, and it was wishful thinking on your part.
Yep, especially since it appears that Marc-Andre Fleury is now the number 1 goaltender.
How about him, man? What is he, 39?
Yeah, 39.
39?
Flowers great, man. He can stay as long as he wants.
Agreed.
Is this his last year?
I think he's having second. I think it was going to be, and I think he's having second thoughts because it's so much fun, and he's still playing for what he's supposed to do. He's still playing pretty well.
Yeah.
But
isn't
it the Judd plan to go out on top and not prolong things and make things more difficult?
It is. But in his role, and I think because Wallstedt is going to be the top goaltender next year, and he's going to be the backup then, I could see him coming back. Yeah, I mean, it'd probably be best to walk, but he's so much fun to cover. I'm waiving my rule for him because he's fun to cover. But if he leaves here, then he should retire.
What, Kyle Rudolph wasn't fun to cover?
The greatest piece of all time.
You think Peyton Manning wasn't fun to cover in Denver that last year?
I'm sure if I was in Denver, I'd feel differently. But he was broken down. It was sad. I mean, he got benched for Brock Osweiler.
And then he came back and
he got benched for Brock Osweiler.
You said the Lynx would have a top 3 pick in this year's WNBA draft. Would have been nice to have the number 1 pick.
This is one of the great whiffs of all time. They've whiffed twice now. When they didn't get high enough to grab Whalen and this one on Caitlin Clark, I think are just 2 huge whiffs.
Yeah. Maybe next year for Paige if they can swing it. And then on the positive side, you did say Kirk Cousins will never win another playoff game with the Vikings. This comes off the board once he signs with his next team. It's not part of a parlay like the one that we dissected on Purple Daily. So you are correct.
I'd like to apologize for this. It was overly negative. This is now the Falcons quarterback. I'm sure he'll do great there. Best of luck to Kirk. This was the old Judd. That's a lashing out prediction, and I'm going to hold myself accountable for that negativity.
Okay, well, better hear some positive predictions here today then. Yeah, okay, I had 4 things come off the board. Pretty good week for old Macadac here. We'll start with the bad. I said the Wolves would beat the Lakers and the Clippers by this week's Write That Down. The Lakers game went sideways, but the Clippers game started sideways, and then the Wolves wind up running away on TNT last night. Anthony Edwards taking that game over.
22.
That was one of the most fun games of the year, man. That was it looked like they were just going to get embarrassed, and they went on that like 22-6 run at the end of the first half and then never looked back. So, by the way, tomorrow, Kyle Tighe and Jim Peterson on Flagrant Howls. Jim Pete was not on the broadcast last night because they were not doing a local broadcast, but he's got plenty of takes. I said the Vikings would have agreed to terms with Christian Wilkins by the end of March. They tried, but he goes to the Raiders. And then 2 correct predictions. I said sometime before March 20th, the Vikings will sign a veteran quarterback, minimum of 30 career starts, Sam Darnold. And I told you guys that Russell Wilson would be a Steeler by week 1 of the 2024 season. I made that prediction back in January.
Not so fast, my friend.
Yeah, I think you're just a bit premature here.
This needs to stay on the board.
I think this needs to stay on the board as well.
Why?
Because given Russ's nature, they could just say goodbye before the season starts.
Why does that matter? Read the prediction.
Russell Wilson will be a Steeler by week 1 of the...
He's saying it's
not by week 1. He is a Steeler right now.
He gave him a leeway. He's saying
okay.
It's
so you're
correct.
Just saying. So you're not saying. So if he's not on the roster on week 1, you're saying that this.
I'm saying he will be a Steeler by week 1, which means anytime by week 1, before week 1.
Yeah, I see what you're. Yeah, okay, that's fine.
We need to go to Lawyer Chase for the grammar.
Well, I just think that if you had said Russell Wilson will sign with the Steelers, then it's undebatable. It's not debatable. But you said by week 1, so I was literally thinking week 1, and Russ could get cut.
I think if I know what you guys are saying, but if I would have said Russell Wilson will be a Steeler week 1, or on week 1, or in week 1,
will be the week 1 starter,
or the week 1 starter. I'm just saying he'll be a Steeler by, and to me, by means anytime leading up to week 1 of the regular season. Hey, if you want to take it to Lawyer Chase, I left journalism school after 1 semester to go do PR and advertising.
There's a lot of well, I mean, this is just an interpretative thing. Yeah, it's fine. All right.
Okay.
I think we're good.
Okay. Well, the comment section can weigh in.
Okay. Love it, but okay.
Listeners, what do you mean don't love it?
I just said I don't love it.
We have to get rid of the word "by." Maybe we need to just get rid of it and replace it with something else for all these. Okay, listeners, we'll start with the bad. Tim said Gopher men's basketball will be a top 4 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They were a top 4 seed when he made this prediction. They are the 9 seed now. Brandon said the Vikings will re-sign Cousins and draft a quarterback in the first round. Nope. Dustin said Kirk Cousins' next contract in free agency will be an average annual value of $25 million or less. Dude, he almost doubled it.
Dustin's heart was in the right place. Like Dustin's heart was in the right place, but his pocketbook was all wrong.
And then Stewart said Baker Mayfield would sign a contract of 3 or more years. And he did. Old Bakes. Nice job. The Dexter had 1 prediction come off the board. It was a correct one. You said the Wild would trade at least 2 players on their active roster by Friday's trade deadline. I think it was 3. They wound up trading.
It was 3.
Patty Maroon went 2. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So with that, we're like a month into the new season here, with the Super Bowl marking the end and the beginning of a new season. Declan off to a good start with a 500 batting average. I'm at 286. Listeners, 286. Judd, 200. I have the only home run. And for career stats going back to 2018, Declan has a 362 batting average, which leads everyone. Judd, 327. I'm at 272. Listeners, 262. Judd with 309 career hits. Listeners with 55 career home runs lead the pack in that category. So let's get Mark in here. He's our guest listener predictor on Write That Down today. This is look at this. We've got Mark with his NWO shirt and Declan with his D-Generation X shirt. You guys did not plan this late 90s clash of wrestling factions, did you? Oh, Mark.
Oh, Mark, you're muted on your side. You just got to unmute yourself.
Well, sorry about that. I had this very serendipitous late 90s wrestling fair.
So were you, Mark, then more of a WCW guy than a WWF Attitude Era guy, or were you dipping your toes in both?
WCW is what got me back in. I was a freshman in college at the time, and nothing like 4, 5, 6, 20-year-old guys watching Hulk Hogan turn bad. I mean, we'd go to parties wearing NWO T-shirts, 25 years ago, and it was popular. Everyone would be doing the T-shirt thing and stuff. So And then as WCW declined, Degeneration X was something that grabbed us, and I'll watch the pay-per-views now, but kind of suspend belief that it's real anymore, and it's good drama.
It is. It's heat. Now it was. You're right though. Like there was a time in the mid-late '90s where, and I was in like late middle school, early high school when it was really popping, like 98, 99, where it was like you're going in the hallway and like you're doing like the suck it
Crowd
motion
shots.
to people in the hallway and doing the too sweet NWO, and it was socially acceptable.
Yeah,
to a degree.
Considering your age too, I mean, that junior high level, I would have gotten myself in trouble.
Yeah.
By that time, you're walking through a bar doing doing the crotch chop. It was surreal times.
So we got our clash of wrestling factions here. Mark, real quick before we make predictions, when did you become a Minnesota sports fan then? What were some of your early memories?
It was all 1987. My first baseball game was Game 1 of the '87 World Series.
Wow.
Originally from Bismarck, North Dakota. And God bless I had an uncle who he had yet to have kids yet, and he had 4 tickets. And my folks, as a family, we came out to Minnesota. I got to see Game 1, and there was more people in the Metrodome than there was probably in the entire city I grew up in, and it was just shocking. Just amazing. All a blur. Like I watched. We were in the left field where Glad hit the home run, the grand slam, and eerily close to where we were sitting, but it's all just a blur. I'll watch a replay of the game on YouTube, and it's all, I don't remember a thing except the noise and the loud and everything. So 87 World Series was kind of the start, and then that same year the Vikings had a playoff game against the Saints as a wild card game. I believe the Saints. It was in New Orleans, and the Saints were a higher seed. But Wade Wilson threw a Hail Mary right before halftime to Hassan Jones, and it was actually maybe Judd might remember this too. But there was a penalty. It was a defensive penalty on the Saints that set up the Hail Mary, and it was probably like 55 yards, whatever the case may be. But then so of course the Vikings blow out the Saints that game. The next game they play the 49ers, and Anthony Carter has the game.
AC man.
And, what?
I said AC, Ring of Honor, put him in, Vikings.
Correct.
He deserves to be in the ring. He was unbelievable.
Well, that game alone is iconic. I mean, when you look at those kind of numbers that he put up between punt returns and receiving, and then I was hooked. I thought every year the Vikings would go to the NFC Championship game. The Redskins game really didn't even hurt that bad. Like I was young, I was 10 years old, but it didn't matter. I'm like, I'm 10. I got another 40, 50 years of Super Bowls coming my way.
Youth, man, it's great. Delusional youth.
Yep. Well, and the thing is, I was born a week after the last Viking Super Bowl appearance.
Okay.
So I have yet to be alive while the Vikings have played in a Super Bowl.
Gosh, man, you are guys. So you're like Degeneration X marks the spot here you're like ground zero of the new Vikings fan at the time that has gone now 40 plus years with just torment.
We talk about 98 too. And I mean, that was right in my wheelhouse being 21, 22. And it felt, we made a road trip from Grand Forks out for the Jacksonville Sunday night game. I think the Vikings beat Jacksonville 51-10.
50 points.
Yeah. They had the Will Smith Miami song, the cover for we're going to Miami for the Super Bowl. I mean, I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it, how optimistic and how positive we were as a group, me and my friends, that it's like, this is it. The Super Bowl goes through 494. It's happening. And
I love it.
Yeah. It makes a great story, and when it does happen, it's going to be.
Are any of us going to be here? That's the question.
I maintain hope that it will happen. It happened for Cubs fans. Now, like there's like 100 years of people that died and didn't.
I was going to say the sons and daughters went to their headstones and sat there with the radio by it. But I mean, I don't have kids. I don't have a ton of time here. Let's get this
what's
done.
funny? So my dad's family, my dad grew up a Cubs fan in Chicago, and my dad was born in 1942. So he grew up watching like Ernie Banks and Billy Williams and Fergie Jenkins and all that. His dad was born in 1908, December. So like his dad was born 2 months after the Cubs won their first World Series. So his dad never saw it. My dad, I called my dad after the final out of the 2016 World Series. He's living in Arizona. I'm like, Dad, I woke him up. I was like, Dad, are you watching? He's like, I fell asleep. Like, what? What? It's like
See, that's the
100
problem.
years of Mackey's.
You don't have to be dead. If you're old, you might fall asleep during the Super Bowl because it goes so late now.
It's like, he goes, I don't know why these damn baseball games start so late. Like, that's the World Series. It's Game 7. Anyways, let's go to Mark for his first prediction here. Mark, start us off.
All right. Well, I was watching the Wolves game last night, and that second quarter into the second half was just electric. And as I was writing down my ideas for what I'd write down, I was kind of concerned that Anthony Edwards was going to go really off last night. But I'll say this: between now and the final Timberwolves game of the season, Anthony Edwards will go for a 50 burger. He'll score 50 in a game sometime between now or in the playoffs.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Dude, Mark just kind of won up. I had a 40 burger playoff prediction, but I can't bring that noise in after Mark just went 50 burger in playoffs.
Swatted. It's getting swatted by
The
Gobert.
thing is, they do have Washington and Chicago and Houston, and they got some weak defenses. And without Cat, I think the moment is gonna. Edwards can get caught up in the spotlight sometimes, and when he's on. He's unstoppable. So I think we might see that statement game sometime in the next 3 weeks to show that it's team on his shoulders.
All right, Judley, what's your first one?
I love that one. All right, so this is actually goes back to our twin show. Dex and I talked about this as far as one player who Declan has been impressed by. So write this down. Jose Miranda will hit 10 or more home runs for the Twins this season.
Oh.
He's sort of been forgotten about. Like, he had a lost season because he was hurt. He can hit. He can play first base. He can DH. Guys are going to get hurt. Remember, the first base situation right now is Kirilloff, who's hurt a lot, and Carlos Santana, who, as I told Declan, is my age. So I'm not convinced that Miranda is not going to get a chance to play. And I think if he plays with his shoulder now intact and in good shape, he's going to hit. So he will hit 10 or more home runs for the Twins this season. I think he makes an impact.
Okay. All right, Declan.
All right, first one for me. I have made a variation of this prediction, I think, 3 times in 2024 alone, and it has not come true. We are going to try it again. Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery will sign by next week's Write That Down.
You keep going.
We're at some point, it's like the season's going to start. Those guys should
might
probably find a roster of some kind.
Yeah, right? I think now it's like, okay, I wouldn't say they're going to take anything, not going to take chump change, but especially with injuries to current stars, and I know Dylan Cease's name is out there, and he might be on the move here from the White Sox, but if the Yankees are going to be without Garrett Cole, they're definitely going to be in the mix for one of these two guys, but finally, let's get these dudes signed. So Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery, they will sign by next week's Write That Down.
I'm here in New York City for the Barrett Sports Media Summit this week. And last night I was talking to someone from the Tampa Bay Rays flagship station, John Momola. And we were talking, I said, hey, tell me about Manny Margot. He goes, you guys are going to love him. Great clubhouse guy. He can play outfield. I said, is Blake, like, should the Twins be after Blake Snell? He goes, the Rays are now hoping that Blake Snell just kind of crawls back on like a 1-year deal. That's what people think. He might just go and do like a 1-year, $20 million thing somewhere and rebuild some value. And if that's the case and you're Joe Polad, dude, make it happen. If we're talking like a 1-year Carlos Correa use me type situation, just make it happen.
If you're not doing it right now, you clearly aren't going to, though, which is really disappointing. It's too bad. It sucks.
I guess. Okay, write this down. Since Mark won up to I was gonna say Anthony Edwards is gonna drop 40 in a playoff game in the first round, but he went 50. So I'm gonna say, so I have to mold this. I think we're gonna get an Anthony Edwards signature playoff moment this year, and I'm trying to figure out, because he had the blocked shot. So I'm going to say this. Anthony Edwards will have the go-ahead bucket. I'll just go offensively. He'll have the go-ahead bucket or free throw in the final 24 seconds, so like under the shot clock mark, in the final 24 seconds of a playoff game this year, the go-ahead bucket that
puts them up for good.
Puts them up for good. Yes.
Yep.
So they can't then like lose the game.
Correct.
And I guess then they can't. So let's say he hits a bucket with 20 seconds, then the other team comes back and takes the lead. It has to. It has to be the one that keeps them ahead.
Yep. I got you.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I should have probably said like final minute, but we'll say final 24 seconds. I'm totally gonna get screwed on this, but whatever.
That's okay.
It's fine. Okay. Okay. Back to Mark for your second prediction.
Right on. This has to do with WrestleMania. Since me and Dex are both wearing the wrestling shirts, but with it being in Philadelphia, there will be I think this would be a home run, but there will be both Kelsey brothers will be part of the festivities.
Yeah.
At some point, somewhere, whether ringside or something like that, or I don't really, my thought is it's probably something where they maybe even have a role, but they will be shown by camera somehow the very least during WrestleMania.
Jason will have a role, I bet.
Yeah, I had a prediction. I believe that it's that Jason gets in the ring and does something.
Does
Body
Kylie
slam some punk?
Does Kylie get in the ring and slam somebody?
Could.
She gets involved, man. She's great.
It'd be funny if they both got involved. It was like a mix. They wouldn't do like a match, but if they got in against a male wrestler, it could be Judgment Day, dude. But they're not going to have Rhea out there getting clowned by it. But I could see like Dominic Mysterio getting clowned by Jason Kelsey.
Yeah.
All right, Judd, what's your second prediction?
All right. So we heard the news yesterday. Karl-Anthony Towns underwent successful surgery to repair his meniscus.
Mm-hmm.
But you can write this down. Karl-Anthony Towns won't play in Game 1 of the playoffs. He won't play in Game 1. I think this is going to take some time. And in fact, Karl-Anthony Towns is very important. But in talking about Cat's going to be, in talking about Ant, I think Ant is going to be just fine. And I don't think that you're going to rush a guy back from meniscus surgery. So while I certainly do think he'll play in the playoffs, won't be surprised if it's not Game 1. So he will not play in the first Timberwolves playoff game.
All right. Yep. And it'll be interesting to see because they looked great once they kind of, got their legs underneath them. They looked great for 3/4. They can still be really good without him. It's just a
How's
different
Gobert?
style.
Do we know?
Not 100%, but this will be actually a great stretch because they don't play again until Saturday.
Right.
And they play back-to-back in Utah. So it's weird because it's a 6-game road trip, but they really only travel like 3 stops because it was 2 games in L.A. Now they're going to be, I think, in L.A. for 2 more days till they travel to Utah. Then they'll be in Utah for like 3 or 4 days. So, and he might even still have a home there for all we know. So it's not the most like grueling travel week, and he can kind of kick his legs up. So, all right, Dex.
I have a Wolves prediction too, but I'm going to wait to get it on the board here for a second. Split squad action for the Twins today, so 2 games going on. And he has had a horrible spring, or not horrible spring, an unproductive spring training statistic start in Matt Wallner. So write this down. Matt Wallner will hit 2 home runs between now and next week's. Write that down.
Okay.
He'll park a couple baseballs. Finally get his swing right a little bit. He'll hit at least 2 home runs by next week's. Write that down in spring training play.
Okay, write this down. I'm going to swing big here. Swing for the fences. I'm going to give you the exact order of the top 6 drafted quarterbacks. I'm not going to give you the teams or the slots, but this is the order in which the first 6 quarterbacks will come off the board. Make sense?
Yep.
So the first quarterback off the board will be Caleb Williams. The second quarterback off the board will be Jaden Daniels. The third quarterback off the board, Drake May. J.J. McCarthy will be 4th. Michael Penix 5th. Bo Nix will be 6th. Off the record, I could see all 6 going in the first 13 picks. I could see it. It's off the record. But I think there could be some desperation, teams climbing.
You could add that in if you want.
I might later. There's still plenty of time. We'll see. But that's it. Caleb, Jaden, Drake May, McCarthy, Penix, and Nix. Okay, back to Mark for your third and final prediction.
All right. Baseball, I'll write this down. Royce Lewis will have 20 or more home runs by July 1st.
Oh, dude.
That's
guy,
MVP stuff right there, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was going to parlay it. Like, I think that would probably be a home run, but I think he's just going to just be on fire. And with his engaging person, again, the injury thing, but the way he was on MLB Network the other day, he's just an easy guy to like. He's a good kid. He loves baseball. Great. He's just bubbly, and I think the media will attach themselves to that. And if he's healthy, God, his numbers from last year was it 14 and 43, 14 home runs, 43 RBI. He has a sense for the moment. Like he performs big with the grand slams and stuff like that. I think he can get on a roll and knock out 10 home runs in 7 games or something along those lines too.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that would be MVP stuff 100%. So yeah, Mark, since you've got this life-changing platform right now, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that brought you to this peak moment?
Too quick. My parents, like I said, we centered summer vacations around me coming to watch baseball games at the Metrodome, and just kind of, no one in my family is really super big on sports, but they didn't really knock that down. So my brothers and sister and my mom and dad, they sat through a lot of sporting events that only because that I wanted to go. And so I appreciate that the older I get. And then of course my uncle for getting me turned on to it. And really it's one of those things, like I said, it's a great story. I don't know if I'd want it. I don't know what I'd do if I was a fan of the Patriots. I don't know. It's almost, it's kind of like a Cubs fan and the identity of the Vikings. Like before we die, and every year, it's a exercise in faith and conviction about being a Vikings fan, and only the strong survive. And then along with that, it's my really close friend Aaron's birthday today, so happy birthday, Aaron! And by the way, you guys do a great job. The whole interaction and it's daily watching for me. It feels like we're part of the group kind of thing as a listener. And I think that's a big difference from what other sports media in the Metro have. And it's good. It's just a bunch of guys BSing about sports. Nobody's smarter than the other guy, and nobody knows more than the other. And I love that. It makes it very engaging to watch.
Thank you, man. And you guys are part of it, just so you know. Like it feels like it because you are a part of the show, and we appreciate that, man. We'll get you on again sometime, Mark.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
See ya.
Thanks, dude. All right, Judd, what's your third and final prediction? Or Dex, go ahead.
There is after we get done recording, Kirk Cousins released a video thanking his time in Minnesota. He released a 90-second selfie video of him parked in front of his phone, giving his thanks
Better
to
take
all
a
the
Minnesotans.
Paper,
that son of a buck.
Does that count? So, yeah, Judd said ad in the paper. What did I say?
That could still happen.
Oh, yeah. Sunday paper. I mean, come on. You got to.
I said
thank you.
He would sign elsewhere. Oh, and thank people in writing, but wouldn't name Kwesi. So is he not going to write? He's going to do the selfie.
Well, he could do a newspaper thing. He could do a Players. Now, is the Players Tribune still functioning with that stuff? I think
so. I don't know what their business model is, but I think so.
They're still functioning.
But he could do a Players Tribune thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Anyway,
excited to watch that. See if he thanks us for all the coverage.
I'm champing at the bit. All right, here's my final. Write that down. Murat Hustadinov, the newest member of the Wild, who I believe is going to debut tomorrow night against the Anaheim Ducks, will score his first goal in the 3 games between now and next week's. Write that down. So starting tomorrow, the Wild's got 3 games, until they play again next Wednesday night. So Murat will score his first NHL goal in the 3 games between now and next week's. Write that down. I want
to see how remotely close I came to spelling Hustadinov. So Murat.
I've got it phonetically written out.
It's what is it? It's DESCALF.
So actually, I did decent. Not great, but decent. Better than I thought I would do.
I was going to say
KHUSNUTDINOV.
It's MENTKIC.
It's
Pierzyn.
It's Mickeymouse.
Pretty
Mickey
good.
Mouse for
Pretty
you.
good.
Thank you very much. All right.
All right, Declan, final prediction.
All right, last one, the Wolves one I promised. So the Wolves have 8 games left in March. They have 8 games left. They will win exactly 6.
That'd be pretty good.
They will win exactly 6. They got softies, but then they got Denver twice, I believe. They have Golden State is on there. So not a, and obviously exact predictions like this are always home runs, but this would be a very damn good stretch to go 6-2 over the last 8 against all those teams. So they will win exactly 6 games for the games remaining in the month of March. Write it down.
Love it. Love it. And then I'll make a Wolves prediction. All these doom and gloomers out there. Oh, the Wolves. They lost Cat. They fell out of first place. Now they're going to tumble. They're going to tumble into the play-in. They're going to tumble out of the Western Conference playoff bracket. The Wolves, write this down, will be in sole possession of first place in the Western Conference again this regular season. Now, they're only a half game back, but they're back of 2 teams, Nuggets and Thunder. And those teams have some pretty easy opponents on their schedule.
Did the Thunder lose to the Pistons last night? Did I see that right?
Did they? I did not see. That's hilarious if that happened.
I think the Pistons beat them. What the hell is what a crazy league?
So
crazy
the Wolves will be in the morning, once all the games are played. Not for it has to be the completion of the night's games. The Wolves will be in first place, sole possession of first place in the West again this regular season. Write it down. So, all right, boys, good session here. We gotta say goodbye so we can go watch this Kirk Cousins. I'm assuming he thanked Purple Daily for at least 30 seconds of the 90.
It was the Pacers. Okay, that's much better. They lost. The Thunder lost to the Pacers. Much better. I thought I saw Pistons.
It's a good
Pacers
team, that Pacers team.
Yeah.
All right, that's a wrap. Write that down every Wednesday on Minnesota Sports with Mackey and Judd and on Purple Daily, the only show dumb enough in the entire country to put statistics next to our predictions.